The security camera timestamp reads 15:42:17 when Grace Sterling sits alone at table 12 in the Pizza Hut on Main Street. Her half-eaten personal pepperoni pizza grows cold as five tall figures approach from the entrance. The elderly couple near the window doesn't look up from their crossword puzzle. The businessman on his phone continues his heated conversation about quarterly reports. The mother with two toddlers remains focused on preventing her youngest from climbing into the play place. Grace takes another measured bite, chewing slowly while her peripheral vision tracks each approaching footstep. At 15:42:31, Grace sets down her pizza slice with the same deliberate precision she uses for everything else. Her hands remain visible on the red plastic table, her back straight against the booth's vinyl cushioning. The five boys now form a loose semicircle around her table, their practiced formation suggesting this isn't their first coordinated approach. Their smiles carry the particular brand of confidence that comes from never facing real consequences. The timestamp advances to 15:42:45. The sound that emerges from the dining area will be replayed countless times in the coming days, analyzed frame by investigators, and shared across social media platforms. It's not the sound anyone expects from five of Westfield High's most intimidating students. It's the desperate, involuntary cry that escapes when genuine fear overrides teenage bravado. Mom! I'm building a community of people who care about protecting children from school violence and bullying. If you believe every child deserves to feel safe in their learning environment, hit the like button to help create a supportive space where parents can share their experiences and solutions. Subscribe for stories about courage, smart self-defense, and the strength that comes from proper preparation. And thank you for caring about our kids' safety. If these stories help even one child stand up for themselves with confidence, the thanks button helps me create more content that protects young people. Because what happens next will prove that sometimes the smallest person in the room carries the greatest strength. Grace Sterling learned to scan rooms before she learned to read. By age 8, she could identify all exits, count potential threats, and assess the tactical value of any furniture within a 30-foot radius. Staff Sergeant Marcus Sterling hadn't intended to train his daughter like a soldier, but 3 tours overseas and a wife who worked double shifts at the base hospital meant Grace spent most afternoons in the non-commissioned officers' lounge, absorbing lessons meant for Marines. Now 16 and struggling to blend into her 3rd high school in 4 years, Grace maintains habits that set her apart from her Colorado classmates. She checks the locks on her family's rental house 3 times each night, chooses seats with clear sight lines to all entrances, and counts the number of people in any space she enters. Her breathing follows a 4-count pattern when stress levels rise, a technique that served her well during the family's posting to a base where rocket attacks were weekly occurrences. The cover story she tells curious classmates is simple. Shy military kid having trouble adjusting to civilian life. Father deployed overseas. Mother working long hours to make ends meet. The truth runs deeper and more complex. Grace Sterling possesses skills that most teenagers never acquire and hopes never to need. Her father's decision to teach her Krav Maga wasn't born from paranoia, but from the sobering reality that military families often find themselves in situations where preparedness means survival. Pizza Hut represents her daily sanctuary, a place where she can complete homework assignments while maintaining situational awareness. The restaurant's layout offers optimal observation points. The staff has grown accustomed to her quiet presence, and the background noise provides perfect cover for listening to nearby conversations. She orders the same meal every afternoon, personal pepperoni pizza, no drink to save money, and spreads her textbooks across table 12 like a fortress of normalcy. The contrast between Grace's disciplined precision and her classmates' casual chaos creates an invisible barrier. While her peers worry about social media followers and weekend party invitations, Grace mentally catalogs potential escape routes and memorizes the faces of people who linger too long near the windows. Her posture remains militarily straight, even in relaxation. Her hands stay visible and free for movement, and her voice carries the respectful authority that comes from growing up around career soldiers. The Westfield Five earned their reputation through 2 years of systematic intimidation, operating with the ruthless efficiency of a corporate takeover team. Their success rate speaks for itself. 23 students transferred or dropped out, 0 consequences for the perpetrators, and a school administration that treats their complaints as minor disciplinary matters. Principal Janet Hartwell's filing cabinet contains a thick folder labeled Ashworth, Morrison, Caldwell, Whitman, Blackwood. But the contents read like commendations rather than disciplinary reports. Bryce Ashworth commands the group with the natural authority of someone born into influence. At 17, he carries himself with the casual confidence of a future politician, his smile engineered for maximum charm and minimum sincerity. His mother sits on the city council, his father owns 3 successful businesses, and his path to state university has been secured since middle school. The quarterback jersey he wears signals his athletic prowess, but his real power comes from understanding how systems work and who controls them. Cole Whitman serves as the group's physical enforcer, standing 6 feet 3 inches with the thick build of a wrestler who never learned when to stop applying pressure. His specialty involves accidental contact, shoulder checks in hallways, elbows during lunch lines, handshakes that linger until bones crack. The fact that he's 18 and still in 11th grade speaks to academic struggles that his family's donation to the athletic department helps overlook. Blake Morrison handles the technological warfare that modern bullying requires, his smartphone always ready to capture compromising moments that can be weaponized across social media platforms. He maintains fake accounts on every major app, coordinates harassment campaigns with military precision, and possesses an intuitive understanding of how digital humiliation spreads through teenage social networks. His parents believe he's destined for computer science greatness, unaware that his skills lean toward destruction rather than creation. Drew Caldwell operates as the group's psychological specialist, identifying emotional vulnerabilities with the clinical detachment his mother displays in her psychology practice. He speaks softly, appears sympathetic during initial conversations, then uses gathered intelligence to construct perfectly targeted emotional attacks. His advanced placement psychology course provides academic cover for studying manipulation techniques that he applies with disturbing effectiveness. Trent Blackwood functions as the group's wild card, desperate for acceptance and willing to cross any line to maintain his position. His unpredictability makes him dangerous because his actions stem from fear rather than calculation. The other 4 consider him expendable, a fact that creates additional motivation for increasingly reckless behavior. Their protection system operates on multiple levels: parents who donate generously to school programs, teachers who remember their own high school hierarchies, and a community that values athletic success over academic integrity. When complaints arise, they disappear into bureaucratic processes that favor families with institutional connections. The Westfield Five have created a perfect storm of adolescent cruelty, backed by adult enablement. The first phase of their campaign against Grace Sterling begins with calculated generosity, an approach that has proven effective against previous targets. Bryce's research into Grace's background reveals the classic vulnerabilities of military families: financial constraints, social isolation, and the constant stress of frequent relocations. He approaches Table 12 during her Tuesday afternoon study session, his smile practiced and his tone carefully modulated for maximum appeal. "Grace, right? I'm Bryce Ashworth, Student Council President." His introduction carries the weight of local royalty, designed to impress rather than threaten. We've noticed you eating lunch alone, and nobody should feel isolated in our community. Why don't you join our table tomorrow? We'll introduce you to the right people, show you around town, help you settle in properly. Cole's offer follows with rehearsed timing. His physical presence meant to reinforce the group's protective capabilities. My dad owns Fletcher's Gym downtown. Full membership, personal training sessions, access to the good equipment. Military kids usually appreciate staying in fighting shape, and we take care of our friends. The underlying message suggests that friendship comes with concrete benefits, while opposition might result in lost opportunities. Blake's contribution focuses on social media integration, his phone already displaying Grace's sparse Instagram profile. I could make you famous locally. 1,000 followers easy. Connections to all the influential accounts. Invitations to the parties that actually matter. New girl transformation videos always go viral. And you've got the look for it. His fingers scroll through filtered images of previous subjects, their social elevation clearly documented. Drew's approach targets emotional needs with clinical precision, his voice carrying practiced empathy. Transition stress is incredibly common among military dependents. I've been reading about it in my psychology coursework. My parents have connections at several universities, scholarship opportunities, academic support systems. Smart girls like you shouldn't have to struggle alone when help is available. The financial incentives escalate throughout the week. $200 Nike shoes as a welcome gift. A $500 shopping expedition to Denver's premium outlets. A $300 homecoming dress selected by Blake's fashion-conscious girlfriend. Each offer comes with increasing pressure and decreasing subtlety. Their generosity beginning to feel more like debt creation than friendship. Grace's responses maintain military-trained politeness while deflecting their advances. Thank you for thinking of me, but I'm fine managing on my own. Her tone carries respectful authority without offering openings for further persuasion. She continues eating her pizza with mechanical precision, her homework remaining spread across the table like a defensive barrier, her body language suggesting polite disinterest rather than gratitude for their attention. The mini payoff comes during Blake's final recruitment attempt, when Grace's subtle eye movement reveals she's been analyzing their formation, timing, and individual behavioral patterns. Her peripheral vision tracking suggests tactical awareness that goes far beyond normal teenage social navigation. For a brief moment, Bryce catches something in her posture that reminds him uncomfortably of his father's military contractor friends, professionals who assess threats automatically and never fully relax their guard. Phase 2 launches when generosity fails to achieve compliance, shifting toward social isolation tactics that have broken stronger targets. The campaign begins subtly, with whispered conversations that stop when Grace approaches and invitations that mysteriously disappear when her name comes up. Blake coordinates the digital assault from his bedroom command center, creating fake accounts that spread carefully crafted rumors about the Sterling family's financial situation and her father's deployment status. The Instagram story appears Tuesday morning. A carefully staged photo of Grace eating alone, overlaid with melancholy music, and the caption, "When you're too weird for friends." Within 2 hours, it accumulates 127 views and 38 shares, each engagement spreading the message that Grace Sterling exists outside acceptable social boundaries. Blake's network of secondary accounts amplifies the content, creating an echo chamber of manufactured consensus about her outcast status. Drew's psychological warfare targets Grace's family situation with surgical precision. He spreads rumors about military families struggling with poverty, suggests that her father's overseas assignment indicates PTSD treatment rather than operational deployment, and plants seeds of doubt about her mother's ability to maintain their household. The gossip spreads through teacher lounges and parent social media groups, creating a web of negative perception that extends beyond student interactions. The lunch table rejections begin Wednesday, with previously empty seats suddenly becoming reserved for juniors only. Students who made casual conversation with Grace in hallway encounters now avoid eye contact, their discomfort suggesting they've received warnings about association costs. The social isolation creates visible stress markers that Grace attempts to mask through increased focus on academic work. Emma Clark notices the pattern during Grace's Thursday afternoon visit to Pizza Hut. The 22-year-old shift leader recognizes military family dynamics from her own childhood as a Navy dependent. Her father's submarine deployments taught her to identify the particular loneliness that comes from constant relocation and social rebuilding, the way military kids learn to appear self-sufficient while craving normal teenage connections. "Hey, Grace, I've been watching you handle homework like a champion every day." Emma's approach carries genuine warmth rather than calculated interest. "We could use weekend help if you're interested. Flexible hours, decent pay, employee meal discounts. Plus, you'd be working with people who actually appreciate quiet competence over loud drama." The job offer arrives precisely when Grace needs proof that adult recognition still exists, when the systematic isolation begins affecting her confidence in her ability to navigate civilian social structures. Emma's military background creates an instant understanding that transcends age differences. The mini payoff reveals that Grace's disciplined routine and tactical awareness have attracted positive attention from someone with the experience to recognize their value. The Snapchat evidence surfaces Friday morning. Screenshots of group text conversations discussing Grace's weirdness, her family's probably tragic backstory, and speculation about her potential for dangerous military trauma episodes. Blake's careful documentation provides ammunition for future escalation while creating plausible deniability about the harassment campaign's coordination. The institutional warfare phase represents an escalation that targets Grace's stability through official channels, demonstrating the Westfield Five's sophisticated understanding of bureaucratic manipulation. Principal Hartwell receives an anonymous email Friday afternoon detailing concerns about Grace Sterling's adjustment issues and potential signs of trauma-related aggression. The message comes from a Gmail account that Blake created specifically for official communications, its professional tone suggesting legitimate parental worry rather than coordinated harassment. Dr. Rachel Caldwell, the school psychologist and Drew's mother, schedules mandatory counseling sessions based on these community concerns. Her professional credentials provide cover for what amounts to intelligence gathering about Grace's psychological state and family situation. The appointment notice arrives with Grace's Monday morning homeroom announcements, framed as proactive mental health support rather than disciplinary action. The health inspection threat materializes when Emma's supervisor receives a tip about potential food safety violations involving employee personal relationships with customers. The complaint specifically mentions Grace's daily presence and suggests that teenage loitering might indicate supervision problems. Emma recognizes the bureaucratic attack pattern, having seen similar tactics used against military families at previous duty stations. "This is how they operate," Emma explains during Grace's Friday shift training, her voice carrying the weary experience of someone who's witnessed institutional bullying before. "They can't attack you directly anymore, so they go after your support systems. My guess is the health inspector will be Blake Morrison's uncle or someone equally connected to their network." Grace's tactical mind processes the escalation with clinical detachment, recognizing the coordinated nature of attacks across multiple institutional fronts. Her father's stories about asymmetric warfare provide context for understanding how small, connected groups can leverage official systems against isolated targets. The realization that her situation extends beyond typical teenage bullying creates a shift in her mental preparation. This requires strategic thinking rather than simple endurance. The weekend brings the discovery that changes everything. While researching her mandatory counseling appointment, Grace uncovers Drew Caldwell's family connection to the school psychologist. The revelation exposes the conspiracy's depth and sophistication, proving that adult professionals are actively participating in the harassment campaign. Her military training kicks in as she begins documenting evidence and preparing for war. Officer Ryan Walsh confirms her suspicions during a Saturday evening patrol stop at Pizza Hut. His informal conversation with Emma reveals that similar pressure campaigns have targeted other military families in the area, forcing transfers and resignations through systematic bureaucratic harassment. "Been happening for about 2 years now," he admits, his voice heavy with frustration at his inability to prove coordination. Families come forward, but the evidence always stays just within legal boundaries. The mini-reveal crystallizes Grace's understanding. She's not facing random teenage cruelty, but a sophisticated operation designed to remove military families from the community. The bigger question becomes not just how to defend herself, but how to expose a system that's been operating successfully for years. Her father's training in counterintelligence suddenly becomes relevant in ways she never anticipated. Monday morning arrives with the institutional assault in full force. Principal Hartwell's office buzzes with concerned phone calls from anonymous community members, reporting Grace Sterling's concerning behavioral patterns and possible signs of military trauma that could endanger other students. The calls come in 15-minute intervals, each featuring slightly different voices, but remarkably similar talking points. A coordination that suggests professional media training rather than spontaneous parental worry. Dr. Rachel Caldwell reviews her son's psychological profile notes while preparing for Grace's mandatory counseling session. Drew's detailed observations about Grace's hypervigilance, social isolation, and potential for aggressive responses to perceived threats provide the clinical framework for what amounts to psychological warfare disguised as mental health intervention. The appointment scheduling during Grace's lunch period ensures maximum disruption to her daily routine and social connections. Grace recognizes the PSYOPs tactics from her father's deployed stories about enemy propaganda campaigns. She maintains perfect student behavior throughout Monday and Tuesday, documents every interaction with school officials, and creates detailed timelines that prove the coordinated nature of the attacks. Her military discipline serves her well as she refuses to provide ammunition for their manufactured concerns about her stability. Emma's warning about the health inspection proves accurate when Inspector Morrison, Blake's uncle, arrives Wednesday afternoon with a clipboard full of violations that mysteriously target Grace's presence in the restaurant. Teenage loitering creates liability issues, and personal relationships between employees and regular customers violate food service protocols. The bureaucratic language masks what amounts to economic warfare designed to eliminate Grace's support system and income source. "They're cutting off your resources systematically," Emma explains during a quick conversation in the storage room, her voice carrying the tactical awareness of someone who's survived similar campaigns. "Next, they'll go after your family's housing allowance, your mom's part-time work, anything that keeps you stable in this community. The goal isn't just to hurt you, it's to force your family out entirely." Blake Morrison's digital warfare escalates beyond simple social media harassment into sophisticated technological assault. His computer setup rivals professional streamers, with multiple monitors displaying deepfake software that can generate convincing videos of Grace making threatening statements she never spoke. The artificial intelligence algorithms require only 30 seconds of source material to create content that appears authentic to casual observers. The first deepfake video surfaces Thursday morning across multiple social media platforms simultaneously. Grace allegedly confronting younger students with language that suggests violent intentions and family military trauma affecting her judgment. The audio quality seems perfect. The facial expressions match her typical reserved demeanor, and the background setting appears to be Westfield High's main hallway. Blake's bot network amplifies the content across parent Facebook groups and teacher social media accounts within hours. Grace's digital defense draws upon cybersecurity knowledge acquired during family postings to bases where information warfare represented daily reality. She traces the fake accounts back to Morrison household IP addresses, documents the metadata proving artificial generation, and creates a comprehensive evidence folder that reveals the scope of the technological manipulation. Her counterintelligence work uncovers a network of coordinated harassment campaigns targeting multiple military families across several school districts. The GPS tracking discovery comes through Emma's technical background as a part-time community college cybersecurity student. Grace's school-issued tablet contains hidden software that monitors her location data, creating detailed movement patterns that the Westfield 5 use to coordinate their harassment timing. They know exactly when you'll be alone and where you'll be vulnerable, Emma explains, while helping Grace disable the surveillance applications. This isn't teenage bullying. This is professional-level stalking. Friday's email hack represents the campaign's most sophisticated element. Grace's school account sends an automated confession about her anger management issues and concerns about her potential for violence, carefully worded to sound like a student seeking help, while actually providing evidence for disciplinary action. Blake's technical skills allow him to schedule the message during Grace's known offline hours, creating plausible deniability about external manipulation. The economic pressure campaign targets Grace's family through multiple vectors designed to force relocation without creating obvious harassment patterns. City Council member Patricia Ashworth initiates a comprehensive review of military housing allowances in civilian communities, questioning whether base families receive appropriate oversight when living off installation. The bureaucratic language masks a direct attack on the Sterling family's financial stability. Staff Sergeant Marcus Sterling receives notification of random selection for additional duty assignments that require extended hours and weekend availability, effectively eliminating his ability to support his family during the crisis. The timing coincides perfectly with Grace's school troubles, creating maximum stress on family resources and decision-making capacity. His military obligations prevent him from investigating or responding to the civilian harassment campaign. Grace's mother loses her part-time position at the local medical clinic when downsizing requirements necessitate reducing non-essential staff, a termination that comes 3 days after anonymous complaints about her family's disruptive influence on community stability. The clinic administrator expresses genuine regret while explaining that patient feedback and staff concerns require difficult personnel decisions. The scope of institutional coordination becomes clear when Officer Walsh shares intelligence gathered through informal law enforcement networks. Similar economic pressure campaigns have forced 17 military families to request transfers or early discharge over the past 2 years, creating a pattern that suggests systematic targeting rather than isolated incidents. The documentation always stays just within legal boundaries, Walsh explains with visible frustration. We know what's happening, but proving conspiracy requires evidence they're too smart to leave behind. Grace realizes she's not facing random teenage cruelty, but a sophisticated operation designed to cleanse the community of military influence. The bigger question becomes whether resistance is possible when the enemy controls local government, educational institutions, and economic leverage points. Her father's counterintelligence training provides context for understanding asymmetric warfare, but civilian rules of engagement limit her response options. I'm really curious about Grace facing 5 bullies at once in this impossible situation. If you were Grace, would you fight back or try to find a way to escape this dangerous situation? Share your thoughts in the comments, because how Grace handles what comes next will completely change her life forever. Trent Blackwood approaches Grace during Friday afternoon study hall with the desperate energy of someone whose position in the group depends on successful mission completion. His manufactured concern about his friend's really bad plans for that evening carries enough genuine fear to suggest he's been excluded from final planning stages. They're going to do something at Pizza Hut around 4 p.m. that could get everyone in serious trouble, he whispers with theatrical urgency. Meet me in the parking lot first. Maybe we can work something out before they show up. Grace recognizes classic manipulation tactics from her father's interrogation resistance training. The approach offers information in exchange for compliance, while creating artificial time pressure that discourages careful analysis. Trent's positioning as reluctant insider provides credibility for intelligence that serves the enemy's strategic objectives. But Grace needs to understand their operational planning to mount an effective defense. What kind of trouble are they planning? Grace asks with carefully measured interest, her body language suggesting concern rather than suspicion. Trent's relief at her apparent cooperation reveals his fear of returning to Bryce empty-handed. Blake's been talking about live streaming something that proves you're dangerous, and Cole mentioned bringing equipment for self-defense. I think they want to make you look bad on camera so everyone sees you're unstable. The Friday afternoon timeline crystallizes as Grace processes Trent's intelligence through tactical analysis filters. Their plan requires her physical presence at Pizza Hut, suggests video documentation for legal protection, and involves weapons that provide justification for defensive measures. The setup indicates they've moved beyond harassment into entrapment territory, creating scenarios where any response Grace makes serves their narrative objectives. Grace agrees to meet Trent while mentally preparing for combat operations. Her decision stems from operational necessity rather than trust, recognizing that intelligence gathering requires accepting calculated risks. The parking lot meeting provides an opportunity to assess their full capabilities before engaging in what amounts to psychological warfare disguised as teenage confrontation. Friday evening at 4:30 p.m., the Pizza Hut parking lot contains exactly the tactical elements Grace anticipated. Trent, standing alone near the entrance with genuine nervous energy, security cameras positioned to capture approaching vehicles, and multiple sight lines that allow concealed observation of the meeting location. Grace parks her mother's Honda Civic with the engine running and driver's door unlocked, maintaining escape options while approaching the intelligence source. Grace, thank God you came. Trent's relief appears authentic as he glances repeatedly toward the restaurant entrance. They paid me $500 to get you here, but I can't go through with what they're planning. Blake's already live streaming to prove you're violent, Cole has brass knuckles in his jacket, and Drew brought pepper spray. They want you to attack them on camera so they can claim self-defense. The tactical intelligence confirms Grace's operational assessment while revealing the coordination level that suggests adult guidance. The combination of financial incentives, legal documentation, and prepared weapons indicates planning that extends beyond teenage capabilities. Where are they positioned inside? Grace asks, while scanning the restaurant windows for movement. Trent's answers provide detailed intelligence about their formation and equipment placement. Bryce is at the counter ordering drinks to look casual. Blake's at table 8 with his phone set up for optimal streaming angles. Cole and Drew are in the booth near the bathrooms where they can block the rear exit. Trent's detailed knowledge suggests he participated in reconnaissance and planning phases before developing ethical concerns about the operation's execution. Grace processes the tactical situation with cold military logic. 4 armed opponents in defensive positions, live stream documentation that provides legal cover for their actions, and a physical layout that favors their positioning over her mobility options. The scenario requires strategic thinking rather than reactive responses, turning their planned ambush into an opportunity for counterintelligence operations. The Pizza Hut dining area at 4:45 p.m. contains the exact configuration Trent described, with Blake Morrison's live stream already broadcasting to 47 viewers, including several Westfield High students and adult community members. His professional camera setup suggests serious commitment to documenting whatever confrontation they've orchestrated. Grace Sterling arrives for what should be an interesting conversation about her recent behavioral issues. Blake announces to his audience with the confident tone of someone who controls the narrative. Grace enters with tactical awareness, heightened to combat levels, her peripheral vision cataloging exit routes, weapon positions, and potential improvised defensive tools. The restaurant's layout provides limited cover, but multiple environmental advantages for someone trained in close-quarters combat. She approaches Blake's streaming setup with measured steps that suggest calm confidence rather than intimidation or fear. "Hi, everyone. I'm Grace Sterling." She addresses Blake's camera directly with the clear diction her father taught her for crisis communications. "These 4 students lured me here using threats and false information." Blake Morrison is streaming from account at Blake the Snake 2024, and they've brought weapons to attack a minor on live stream for social media content. The tactical reversal catches the Westfield 5 completely unprepared. Their script assumed Grace would respond defensively to their accusations, providing content that supports their victim narrative. Instead, she's reframed the encounter as documented evidence of premeditated assault, turning their live stream into prosecution evidence against their own criminal conspiracy. "Here's what brass knuckles look like when someone brings them to threaten a student," Grace continues while pointing toward Cole's jacket pocket, her military bearing commanding attention from Blake's confused audience. The live stream chat explodes with comments demanding police intervention and expressing shock at the visible weapons. "I'm 16 years old, and these 18-year-old students coordinated an armed attack for social media entertainment." Blake panics as his live stream audience turns hostile, their comments demanding explanations for why older students are threatening a younger girl with weapons. His attempt to end the broadcast fails as 127 viewers begin screen recording evidence of what appears to be documented assault preparation. "She's lying! We're the victims here!" Blake shouts, while fumbling with his phone controls. Cole's brass knuckles become visible as he moves toward Grace, with the confident swagger of someone who's never faced real resistance. "Time to show everyone what happens when military brats think they're tough," he announces, while pulling his hand from his jacket pocket. The metal gleams under fluorescent lighting as live stream viewers gasp and begin typing police department phone numbers in the chat. The actual confrontation lasts 37 seconds, according to security camera timestamps and live stream metadata, but its psychological impact extends far beyond the brief physical exchange. Grace's defensive stance reflects years of martial arts training as Cole swings his brass knuckles in a wide arc designed more for intimidation than tactical effectiveness. Her duck and pivot movement uses his momentum against him, sending his 200-pound frame into table 8 with enough force to scatter Blake's streaming equipment. Drew's pepper spray deployment hits Bryce instead of Grace due to poor coordination and panic-induced targeting errors. Bryce's screams of pain echo through the restaurant as chemical burns affect his eyes and respiratory system, creating dramatic content for Blake's accidentally continued live stream. The irony of friendly fire casualties provides immediate karma that live stream viewers celebrate in real-time comments. "I called 911 during the parking lot meeting," Trent announces, as sirens become audible in the distance, his voice carrying relief at finally choosing the correct side in an impossible situation. "Grace, I'm sorry. They said they'd kick me out of school if I didn't help them. But this isn't right." His confession provides testimony that establishes premeditation and conspiracy charges against the other four participants. Grace maintains defensive positioning until law enforcement arrives, her hands visible and her posture suggesting professional training rather than street fighting experience. Officer Walsh enters with backup support and immediately begins reviewing Blake's live stream footage on his department tablet. "Well, this makes evidence collection simple," Walsh observes while watching Cole's unprovoked attack captured in high definition. "Assault with deadly weapon, conspiracy, and about 6 federal crimes related to targeting military families. The medical response reveals the true scope of consequences that none of the Westfield Five anticipated when planning their social media ambush. Cole requires hospital transport for concussion symptoms from his table impact, while Bryce needs emergency treatment for chemical burns that may cause permanent vision damage. Drew's panic attack intensifies when he realizes that pepper spraying his own teammate on livestream provides perfect evidence of incompetent criminal conspiracy. Officer Walsh's investigation expands rapidly as federal authorities take interest in the systematic harassment of military families, with FBI cybercrime specialists examining Blake's deepfake evidence and digital stalking documentation. The brass knuckles charge elevates Cole's assault to felony level, while the coordinated nature of their campaign suggests conspiracy charges that carry serious adult sentencing guidelines. The livestream evidence creates ironclad prosecution material that eliminates any possibility of plea bargaining or character witness mitigation. 127 people witnessed and recorded premeditated assault with weapons, providing testimony that no defense attorney can challenge. Blake's sophisticated technical setup actually strengthens the prosecution case by demonstrating planning and intent to document criminal activity. Civil rights investigators discover the broader pattern of military family harassment that extends across multiple school districts and involves coordination between civilian contractors and local government officials. The Sterling family's case becomes the breakthrough that exposes a 2-year conspiracy designed to force military families out of communities near defense installations. Principal Hartwell submits her resignation when federal investigators review her disciplinary files and discover systematic bias in favor of the harassment perpetrators. Dr. Caldwell faces professional licensing review for her role in providing psychological cover for her son's criminal activities. The institutional protection network collapses as each participant distances themselves from what federal prosecutors classify as organized criminal conspiracy. The victory's true cost becomes apparent over the following weeks, as Grace's family faces the impossible choice between pursuing justice and maintaining stability. Staff Sergeant Sterling receives transfer orders to Fort Campbell, Kentucky, citing mission-critical personnel requirements that cannot be delayed for civilian legal proceedings. The military's institutional loyalty provides protection but requires geographic relocation that separates Grace from the community she fought to defend. Grace's mother loses her civilian employment opportunities when local businesses express concern about hiring someone whose family attracts controversy and legal complications. The economic retaliation continues despite criminal convictions against the harassment perpetrators. Military families learn that victory in civilian courts doesn't guarantee community acceptance or economic security. The emotional cost manifests in Grace's loss of innocence about civilian-military relations and the discovery that her tactical skills create fear rather than respect among potential friends. Her reputation as someone capable of violence makes normal teenage social interactions impossible. The price of defending herself includes accepting isolation from the peer relationships she hoped to build. Emma Clark receives promotion to district manager as Pizza Hut corporate, recognizes her role in protecting a military family from systematic harassment. Her new position includes responsibility for creating military family support programs across multiple restaurant locations. The positive outcome provides hope that individual actions can create institutional change despite broader community resistance. Grace's legal testimony helps convict 17 participants in what federal prosecutors describe as the largest military family harassment conspiracy in Colorado history. The $2 million civil settlement provides financial security but cannot restore the 2 years of psychological damage inflicted on multiple families. Maya Blackstone's arrival at Fort Campbell creates the opportunity for Grace to discover the true scope of the national operation targeting military families. Their first conversation in the base commissary reveals parallel experiences that suggest systematic coordination across multiple states. "Westfield was our third assignment in 2 years," Maya explains with the weary tone of someone who's survived multiple harassment campaigns. Each time, the pattern is identical: economic pressure, institutional harassment, and escalating violence until families request transfer. The intelligence sharing between Grace and Maya reveals 47 similar incidents documented across 12 states, with defense contractor Pinnacle Services consistently benefiting from military family relocations that result in canceled housing contracts and reduced base community integration. The civilian harassment campaigns serve corporate interests by weakening military families' civilian connections and forcing return to on-base housing that Pinnacle Services manages exclusively. Grace's tactical analysis combined with Maya's technical intelligence gathering creates a comprehensive picture of the conspiracy that federal investigators have struggled to document. Their youth and insider perspective provide access to social media evidence and peer networks that adult investigators cannot penetrate. The partnership between military dependents becomes a counterintelligence asset that threatens the entire operation. The revelation that their harassment experiences serve corporate profit motives rather than random community prejudice transforms Grace's understanding of civilian-military relations. The systematic nature of the campaign suggests professional coordination that extends far beyond local bullying into economic warfare against military families. Maya's proposal for exposing the national conspiracy provides Grace with purpose that transforms her trauma into tactical advantage. Fort Riley, Kansas is their next target. 3 more military families under attack right now. Time to take this war to them, Maya concludes with the quiet determination that characterizes military families who've learned to fight institutional battles. The final scene establishes Grace's evolution from defensive victim to proactive protector, her tactical skills and hard-won experience providing tools for defending other military families. The personal cost of her victory becomes the foundation for preventing similar attacks against future targets. The network of military dependents becomes a protective force that corporate interests never anticipated facing.